everybody. Is the chat working? It was a little wonky when the stream started. I got a little nervous. Yes, it's working. Excellent. So nice to see everybody. Thank you. You're all so very kind. All right, so it's the first live stream of the week, technically. So I'm going to gift my weekly memberships. Here we go. 5 memberships. Make sure that if you would like to be someone who could receive memberships, please make sure that you turn gifting on. All right, there it is. 5 people. Come on to the party. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me. We're going to do a live breakdown of the Jurassic World Rebirth trailer, and there will be a typical live stream on Friday. It's been a bit of a crazy week with all these trailers dropping right before the Super Bowl. It's insane. Maybe they don't want to pay. Maybe they're going to still do truncated versions of these trailers on game day, but they want to break out of the conversation. That's understandable. Although I think they've left a huge opening for Superman and potentially also How to Train Your Dragon. And maybe Lilo and Stitch. We'll see what trailers, I think we all thought that Fantastic Four and Jurassic World Rebirth would be the biggest trailers of Sunday for the Super Bowl, and they both went early. Thanks, Dancing Dog 60, for gifting those memberships. Yeah, that's right. Smurfs is going tomorrow too. It's just everybody. All right, so the reason I'm a little bit late, thank you, Adam Sphere, is because Universal is very tricky with their trailers, coverage of their trailers. So I can't do my usual trailer breakdown where I scrub through the trailer. Instead, I'm doing just stills. So we're doing a live breakdown with stills. And there are a couple of things I want to talk about right off the bat. The first is that I think that Gareth Edwards has 2 very clear inspirations for this film. One is Jaws, which you'll see from this poster, which of course is the Steven Spielberg movie. It's the one that put him on the map. It created the summer blockbuster. And some feel that, Jurassic Park, the original Jurassic Park, was the natural progression of Jaws. Yes, Steven Spielberg is still producing, Paul, that, he went from sharks to dinosaurs. But I think there's a Spielbergian wonder to his movies that I think the best Jurassic movies is able to replicate. Colin Trevorrow did a good job replicating, in my opinion, Spielbergian wonder. I don't think Gareth Edwards knows anything about Spielbergian wonder. I think he's going in a different direction, and that's Alien. Very Alien. And when you think about Alien, it makes all the more sense that we have our first female lead with Scarlett Johansson, because that's very Ripley. Kong Skull Island is also an interesting mention as well, Gizmo. But I mentioned, all the Alien films, even the later ones, with David. And remember, Alien Covenant had a very similar storyline where they were, on an abandoned island and those elements. So I think, yeah, that's right, CM. The latest Indiana Jones movie was also missing that Spielbergian wonder. So I think that's very interesting. And you're going to see, I think the xenomorph is a clear inspiration for the new dinosaur. I'm like, that's just a dinosaur xenomorph. And they're like, well, wouldn't you like to see that? And I'm like, I'll decide when I see it. But yeah, I think clearly Gareth Edwards is going Alien and Jaws. And, I think Spielberg, is in a class by himself. And I think, interestingly, J.J. Abrams tried to copy Spielbergian wonder. But, nobody's really been able to do it. Nobody else can make kind of like a cozy film. Maybe James Cameron to some degree. But yeah, so those are, I think, the clear references. I don't think we're getting any feathered dinosaurs, Justin. I think, that's one of the reasons, I guess, they're going in this direction. They're like, we're not doing any feathered dinosaurs. I mean, I don't know. I think they should have at least one, since all the museums have switched over to that. All right, so the other thing that I thought when I was doing my trailer reaction, at the end, for my trailer reactions, at the end I'll bring up a couple of key frames while I talk. And when I was editing and I brought up the key frames from this trailer, I had an epiphany. And that's that none of them were of dinosaurs. that this is, all the Jurassic movies in the past, so I guess kind of with the exception of Chris Pratt, but I think that the Jurassic movies helped make Chris Pratt a household name. They were not star-driven. But yet, even look at this poster. This is the first Jurassic poster to list the talent on the top. No one's ever done that before. Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, Jonathan Bailey. That is incredible to me. That is a huge difference in what they're doing here. Very, very big difference. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. So I guess they're like, we paid for these people. We're going to get the most out of them. So Scarlett Johansson, of course, she's been nominated twice for an Oscar, never won. But, she is, of course, from Marvel at this point. And, I'll never forget how sad it was that she was so excited when she got her Black Widow hat and she was the premiere presentation during the Marvel panel at Comic-Con 2019. And she was so happy, and then it just totally blew up in her face. She got paid, though. She got paid a lot. Good for her. She got her money. But, she, of course, is coming from there. Then Mahershala Ali, two-time Oscar winner. By the way, he was also at that presentation. That was a cursed presentation because he, of course, was announced as the new Blade, and that just looks like, I think at this point there's a real chance that's never going to happen. So he's in this movie. At least he got this, right? So both Kevin Feige hurt both those people, and they both went to the Jurassic franchise to lick their wounds. And then it is pretty incredible for Jonathan Bailey to get billing. Jonathan Bailey, of course, is the male lead in the Wicked films. He's going to have Universal's all in on the Jonathan Bailey business. They love this guy. As I think, maybe they should. His casting, of course, is the most iconic. Well, all the casting here is pretty iconic. The Jurassic movies have never had a female lead, so that's a very big deal for Scarlett Johansson. She's also, of course, as I said in my trailer reaction, a super fan of the Jurassic movies. Mahershala Ali, the Jurassic movies have been infamously, Jurassic so white. They've never really had a diverse cast. They tried to fix that a little bit with Jurassic World Dominion, but they were only like supporting characters. So it's a very big deal with Mahershala Ali and his team to be such a big part of the film. They brought in Omar Sy to Jurassic World, but he had like 2 lines. He was hardly in the movie at all. He was, Chris Pratt's, supposed to be his partner in dinosaur training, but he was not. So that's a very, very big deal. And then, Samuel L. Jackson, that's right, Armand. Samuel L. Jackson had a pretty big role in the first movie, but, they weren't the leads. They were, again, they weren't the core. When you see cast photos for those movies, they're not the leads. Because Laura Dern had a pretty big part as well. But that's right, Michael Rivera. Jonathan Bailey is an openly gay actor, and for him to be one of the 3 leads in this movie, although B.D. Wong, who played Dr. Wu, Henry Wu, in the original movies, was also LGBT. However, he was not, I don't believe he was out at the time, but of course it was a very long time ago, very different Hollywood, very different society. But the fact that Jonathan Bailey is this lead character, and his role does not revolve around his sexual orientation, is probably one of the biggest opportunities for gay representation in mainstream film that we've seen to date. I mean, I just think it's just incredible. Although he has such good chemistry with Rupert Friend in the trailer, I'm like, is that a potential love interest? But I just think it's, Jonathan Bailey does appeal to men and women, Ben 10. My dad thought Jonathan Bailey was incredible in Wicked. He loved him. And my mom also, his song was her favorite. So I think Jonathan Bailey has a lot of potential. But make no mistake, this is a huge deal. I mean, kind of Luke Evans playing Gaston in the live-action Beauty and the Beast was a little bit of a big deal. But at that point, Luke Evans had backed away from being a very out actor, I think tragically because of some bad experiences in Hollywood, clearly. But, I think Jonathan Bailey is the most out actor. Matt Bomer walked so that Jonathan Bailey could run. And Matt Bomer had been considered for Superman and didn't get it because they felt that with his orientation, he couldn't play the role. And that's very unfortunate. Matt Bomer might have been a little bit too early, but he made a lot of inroads for other actors. And so, of course, they co-starred, Matt Bomer and Jonathan Bailey, in, what was Fellow Travelers, the recent Showtime series that got a lot of nominations. So it's a very big deal. Everyone's going to be watching Jonathan Bailey's, how this movie is received, because it's an extremely big deal. If this movie succeeds with Jonathan Bailey in a lead role, that is going to have that will have huge ramifications, not necessarily so much with the general public, but within Hollywood and the types of roles that out gay actors can strive for. It's very, very exciting. All right. I'm very excited. I know a lot of you are excited about Jonathan Bailey. You know who else I think likes Jonathan Bailey? Gareth Edwards. Nobody looks more beautiful in this trailer than Mr. Jonathan Bailey. All right, so I think that's very, very interesting. All right, so the other thing that I wanted to talk about, we'll go through we'll go through the trailer. Let's just go through the trailer, okay? So I got all the pictures here. We got a lot of stuff to go through. All right, so obviously this is the opening shot, and this is now in a museum, and that, of course, is a clear reference to Jurassic Park and that famous shot at the end of the movie when dinosaurs roamed the earth, and then, of course, that banner fell down with a real T-Rex, having just felled a skeleton. But something that they pointed out. I think Scores, just a side moment, Scores had an interesting question. Didn't Jonathan Bailey already succeed as a male lead? I don't believe that Jonathan Bailey has succeeded in a mainstream blockbuster, where the role is not defined by the sexual orientation of the character. So that's the difference I'm trying to point out. Hey, Ryan. Okay. So this is a clear reference to that. One of the most iconic shots in Jurassic franchise. It's incredible. And I think that let's do Jonathan Bailey a favor. Let's move forward. You guys can continue to talk about this amongst yourselves in the comments, but I'm going to just keep going. All right? So they said in Vanity Fair that the setup here is that this dinosaur exhibit at the museum is closing because there are dinosaurs all over the place these days. So nobody wants to go and see a museum exhibit, which I think is very interesting. So that's an interesting framing device. So we're back in a museum, and they're packing up the bones. And you can see right in the front there, that's Rupert Friend and Scarlett Johansson entering the exhibit. Okay, so we come on in. Now they're going back and forth to the flashbacks, all right? So we're going to get back to the museum in a moment. But this is one of my favorite shots in the trailer. I think the artistry is beautiful of how that tail just so perfectly goes over Jonathan Bailey's head. That arc is just beautiful. That is a really gorgeous shot. It almost creates this logo, but with a human in the middle instead. I think that's really cool. I do not know my dinosaurs. I've never been a huge dinosaur fan. So this is not the kind of breakdown where I'm going to be like, as you guys pointed out, this is a titanosaur. But I love your guys' enthusiasm for it. So that's a really cool shot. And you think that would be a small dinosaur. At least I would, because again, I'm not super into dinosaurs. But that's in fact at the end of a giant dinosaur. So there's your standard, wonder shot. Oh, we're in wonder. We can't believe what we're looking at. Classic Jurassic shot. Although, didn't they just establish that people are so bored of dinosaurs that they're closing museum exhibits? You think they'd be like, oh yeah, there's another dinosaur. I hope that we're not looking at the business end of the dinosaur. Okay. So, but look, there they are. They got whip tails. Whip that tail back and forth. Whip that tail back and forth. Hey, yeah. I love it. I think that's an insane tail. I can't believe that's a real dinosaur. The whole setup on this island is that these are the dinosaurs that were made in the lab. They're the mistakes. They're the Frankenstein dinosaurs. But apparently these are real dinosaurs. These dinosaurs are. I can't believe that's a real dinosaur. I thought for sure. I feel like I'm on a game show. Is this a real dinosaur or is it a Frankenstein dinosaur? I'm getting messed up on this. So I think that's fantastic. But yeah, so that's a real dinosaur. I don't know what the practicality of that tail could possibly be. But I thought it was a modified dinosaur as well, but apparently some of you are saying it's not. But I would think it would be, they'd be like, whoo, that tail's nuts, back to the drawing board. Apparently not. All right, then next up, we're back in the lab. All right, so the setup here, this is a hilarious setup to me. So Rupert Friend apparently works for, I wonder if he works for InGen. So Rupert Friend has gone over here to, start the movie with him recruiting Jonathan Bailey. Scarlett Johansson's already signed on as the mission leader. So maybe Jonathan Bailey in some ways is almost the lead, which is interesting. But Rupert Friend has a very Hollywood setup for the movie. We want to save humanity, and the only way we can do so is to get the DNA from the 3 biggest dinosaurs on the island. I'm sure. One by land, one by sea, one by air. And you got to go and do that. And you're like, what? You're like, that's such a Hollywood setup. It just seems so arbitrary and just obviously set up for like the most action. So I think that's pretty funny. So yeah, and apparently Rupert Friend, even though he's the corporate suit, is also going to go on this mission. I'd be like, see you when you get back, guys. That's why I'm paying you the big bucks. That's right, Ouijark, it does sound a lot like a video game, right? So that's our mission. That's what we have to accomplish. By the way, Rupert Friend is very funny. He is in the recent companion film playing like a Russian gangster type character with hilarious wig and mustache. It's very funny. And don't forget, evil corporate people are also from the Alien franchise as well, from Weyland-Yutani. Okay. So then here, Jonathan Bailey's like, hell no! All right, so he looks great. I wonder if this is the role that was offered to Glenn Powell, that Glenn Powell turned down. I don't know if this would have been a good role for Glenn Powell. You got to be able to be like a sexy, as some of you are saying, a sexy nerd. And nobody believes, you can put glasses on Glenn Powell all you want. People are going to be like, why'd you put glasses on that jock? But I think that Jonathan Bailey does a really good job of being the hot nerd, right? Like, he certainly is hot, but you're like, but I believe he actually does read a book. So look, he's got the whole outfit on. He's obviously in a bad mood because he's apparently getting fired from the museum and packing up all his stuff. Is he extinct? Is our paleontologists extinct? And he's like, no, we have a job for you. It's a really crappy job, but I'm sure it comes with a big payday. And you get to save humanity, apparently. So she's like, I can't totally guarantee your safety. And he's like, oh my God. All right, so there's Mahershala Ali's introduction. This is also very Jaws. You've got your 3 Jaws characters. You've got Brody, which is the chief of police, which is Scarlett Johansson. You've got Richard Dreyfuss's character, which is the expert, which is Jonathan Bailey. And then you've got the boat captain, the guy who's been in the mix. He knows how, he's been in the shit. He knows how it goes. What's that guy's name again from Jaws? What's the name? That's right, he is the wild card Adam Sphere. He's playing cards. I forgot his name from Jaws. Quint! Yes, thank you, Quint. Thank you, Dancing Dog 60. So here's the Quint. All right, I wonder if he too has a crazy backstory that happened to him that he's going to tell all of us. Just like that, of course, real life story about what happened to that submarine. So that's right, Scores. Once you see it, you're like, oh my God, I really see it. So I hope they do a good job. It's like, if you can spot it from the trailer, who are the red shirts? Who asked me that? I think that the red shirts, I can't see who asked that. CM. The red shirts clearly are poor Mahershala Ali's crew. Any crew member who you've never seen before and doesn't have a name, red shirt. It's like that funny joke in Galaxy Quest when Guy didn't have a name and they were like, he's gonna die. Sam Rockwell's character. That's right, Quint did die at the end, Emilio. So that's not a good sign for poor Mahershala Ali. That's not a good sign for him at all. Mahershala Ali, though, right now he's living his best life. He's winning at cards. My grandfather was a big card player. My grandfather actually, side note, I'll tell you a little something about myself. My grandfather was actually a conductor, a person who took tickets on the train. Not locally, but like long-term train, the conductor who would come and get people's tickets and stuff like that. And on the late nights, on the overnights, he would go and with the whole crew, everybody, who worked on the train, worked in the kitchen and stuff like that, because, they had a dining car back then. And my grandfather would play cards. He was actually extremely good at playing cards. He actually got into some fights because some people would accuse him of cheating. My grandfather lived a really interesting life. Very, very cool guy. Hey, West the Beast, Best, thank you very much. So I think of him when I see this, this is a tough life to lead, but when you're doing well and when you have a good hand, it's awesome. All right, so next up. So this is great. This is a great Jurassic Park reference. The electric fence, right? High voltage. It's in fact the very same sign with the hand that's up there. But apparently this does not work very well because these dinosaurs are all over the place. But yeah, it's the exact same. I think those kind of callbacks are a lot of fun. I would also like to say that this movie, the setup reminds me a lot of Jurassic Park 3. I actually thought that was not a bad movie. It was directed by Joe Johnston, who did October Sky, went on to direct the first Captain America movie. It was actually not a bad film. It was about going back to the island. Thank you, Julio. It was about going back to the island with Alan Grant. That's right, Sam Neill's character. I don't want to give anything away, Caliban. Be careful in case, somebody hasn't seen Jurassic Park 3. But I'm so glad some of you agree with me, Jesse and Rudy. It's a pretty good movie, they have to go back. It's the abandoned island. And, it's low budget, because everything's closed and abandoned. But it's pretty good. Like, I remember, because I didn't like Jurassic Park 2. But I remember being like, that wasn't bad with Jurassic Park 3. And so this reminds me a lot of that film. All right, so here we go. Now, here we are in the lab, the abandoned laboratory, where, apparently they left in a hurry because they left a lot of their stuff behind. The embryos, they're like, should we dispose of this genetic material? They're not even worried about, what about corporate espionage? I mean, in the first movie, InGen was stealing DNA. That's the whole thing that Wayne Knight's character was involved in. So you would think they would be like, we got to clean this stuff up. But, I think we're going to get a prequel, like a flashback as to what happened in this lab and why they left the way that they did. So this is the lab. Apparently they were building in the dinosaurs. I guess that lab where B.D. Wong worked in the first movie was the show lab. This is where the actual stuff was done and they grew the dinosaurs before transporting them to the theme park island. So here they made, for some reason, a two-headed velociraptor. They're like, I don't know. I'd be like, I mean, this is like morally like you've already crossed the line of morality, I guess, when you're making these. But this is really interesting. It reminds me, of course, very much so of Alien. So there was not only the stuff with David and the embryos for Alien. That's right. I don't care about you're thinking of the Ripley clone. I have that here too. Then, of course, the face huggers that were being bioengineered in Aliens. And then, of course, the infamous Ripley, when they spliced Ripley's DNA with the aliens, with the xenomorphs, until they got one that looked actually a whole lot like Ripley. They're like, there's alien DNA in there somewhere. She doesn't want to spend all day in the makeup chair, so it's deep inside. So yeah, it's a very strong reference to the Alien movies with, Frankenstein playing the monster card, stuff like that. So they have these dinosaurs, and apparently, some of them, they were still saving it for some reason. Then you think they would just dispose of this. But yes, this is one of the experiments gone wrong. And then here's Jonathan Bailey looking at what looks a lot like a face hugger. I expect that. I'm looking at that sucker to move any second. I'm like, oh my God, don't get so close to it. He, of course, is disgusted at the lack of morality. But yeah, and you can see this stuff has just all been very quickly abandoned, and this embryo is just left there. I wonder why they haven't done more with human cloning. The last couple of movies, particularly Jurassic World 2 and 3, kind of talked about that they would also be working on human cloning in tandem. If you're cloning dinosaurs, why wouldn't you talk about cloning humans? And I'm surprised, although they did a crossover with humans and xenomorphs in the latest Alien movie, Alien Romulus, and people laughed at that, but the movie did pretty good. But I guess, I don't know if they're going to want to have a human dinosaur hybrid. I mean, talk about jumping the shark. I don't really know if they can do that. But we'll see. I feel like they seem to be heading in that direction. All right, then, boy, what a couple. I'm like, you guys look pretty darn good together. I mean, the whole mission, I'd be like, just watching them being like, you guys, I'm sorry, you look so good together. Like, I wanted them not to address Jonathan Bailey's character's orientation whatsoever. But when I saw them in the trailer, I was like, but you guys belong together. like that's just how I feel watching the trailer. And, you know, if this could just be a small part of the character, that would be nice. But maybe it's too fast. Maybe it's too soon. Maybe you just want an openly out actor to do well in the movie and for the movie to succeed. I mean, you don't want to go too close. It's not a scoop, J. Jonah Jameson. I haven't heard anything about it, but I'm just telling you, they look good together. I mean, I'm not sure. I even as a studio suit, I'd be like, my most important thing is for Jonathan Bailey to succeed in this role. But I mean, they look amazing. I mean, they look like a couple. You know, you look like they look amazing. They look really great. I mean, they look fantastic. So this is a great shot. So he's talking about, so in this shot, Rupert Friend's character is like, why do you have to go and get the DNA from one of the eggs? And Jonathan Bailey's character is saying, because how am I supposed to jam a needle into a flying dinosaur that's the size of a fighter jet? And they're like, good point. So let's get your Indiana Jones on. All right, so here we go. So there he is in some kind of temple where this dinosaur has made its nest. How convenient, because that's right. And even Gareth Edwards even says this scene is inspired by this sequence in the Indiana Jones movies. You got to be really careful with the inspiration thing. You know, Bryan Singer really wanted to do an ode to Richard Donner's Superman when he made Superman Returns. And everybody was like, he just made some creepy clone. So I don't know if it's a good idea to reference these other Spielberg movies so much. But let's see how it turns out. I'd be like, it's interesting that you're copying Spielberg to such a degree, but yet you couldn't get the Spielbergian wonder. I mean, there is kind of one shot that has it. All right, so that's a pretty nice, clear inspiration in this shot. Okay, then, look at that shot. Let me get my idle shot back up, because that's very good. That's very good. No one looks as good in this movie as Jonathan Bailey. I'd be like, the cinematographer or Gareth Edwards or both are like, did you see how Jonathan Bailey looked today? Make sure you get that on camera. I mean, the camera loves this guy. Maybe Jonathan Bailey's just super photogenic. I mean, that's probably true as well. But, you know, Scarlett Johansson's in this movie. She does not look as good as Jonathan Bailey. That reminds me of that fantastic joke from the Judy Garland story where Judy Davis was playing her. And, of course, her husband, Vincent Minnelli, was closeted. And she was making, like, that Pirates movie with Gene Kelly. And there was a very funny joke behind the scenes where she said, you know, Judy Garland was complaining that Gene Kelly's costumes were all much nicer than hers. Because Vincent Minnelli was making that movie. And so, you know, Scarlett Johansson is supposed to be, like, the big, sexy female actress in this movie, but, like, nobody cares about her. Everybody's just looking at Jonathan Bailey. So I think that's very funny. I mean, he looks amazing. I mean, you know, Vanessa Kirby wishes she looked as good. Vanessa Kirby wishes the hair and makeup and the cinematographer on Fantastic Four loved her as much as the people did making Jurassic World Rebirth loved Jonathan Bailey. I mean, they just love this guy. And that reminds me, speaking of heartthrobs, Brad Pitt once gave an interview where he said whenever he makes a movie, he immediately befriends the cinematographer, and that the cinematographer is his most important person to talk to on set, because he knows that is the person who is responsible for how he will look in the film. I thought that was really smart, and I wonder if Jonathan Bailey does the same thing. And it's like, hey DP, how you doing? What's up? Because he just, shot after shot after shot after shot, he looks incredible in this movie. Okay. All right, then I just took this shot because I like the island. You know, they shoot these things in Hawaii. This to me actually looks like Southeast Asia, which Gareth Edwards, where he shot The Creator. So maybe he already has a relationship there. But that looks fantastic. I mean, I do like this element of the Jurassic movies. So that looks great. Sandy beaches, I love it. All right. Now, I took this shot because this is a character that nobody's talking about in the movie. This is the actor Manuel Garcia Rulfo, who is in the Lincoln Lawyer show for Netflix, Lincoln Lawyer. Now, there's another shot of him a little bit later in the trailer, but he is the family in this trailer. Steven says they shot this movie in Thailand. That makes a lot of sense. So this, I didn't even notice whose shirt is open like that. This is a very interesting movie. Okay, he's wearing an actual red shirt, but I don't know if he's a red shirt. So there is a family, a Latino family in this movie where Manuel Garcia Rulfo is the father, and they're on vacation, and they accidentally sail into dinosaur waters. So I don't know I hope that they're a bigger part of the movie. I think that, I would hope that they weren't just thrown in there. I would hope that they were integrated fully into the storyline. I think it's a good idea. It always helps to have kids in these movies. And so, I think it's a nice idea, but let's see how it works out. And there's one of the kids. This is quite the vacation they've found themselves on. And so next up, there's our first shot at this ridiculous dinosaur. What the heck is happening here, man? That looks just like a xenomorph. Hold on, let me get us a little closer. All right. Look at that thing. That's not even technically, I feel, a dinosaur. So that looks almost like my goldfish used to look. So this is not a real dinosaur, is it, right? That's like that's the dinosaur that didn't work. Like, some of you are saying it's the Xenosaurus. Like, some of them, that's right, Paul. It's just a monster. Like, I guess they helped build it with my, goldfish. If some goldfish look like that in the front, some of them have like a kind of like a thing like that. But yeah, Rancor from Star Wars. That's interesting. That's an interesting comparison. But yeah, that thing looks ridiculous. I mean, it's like, maybe some people feel it's like the first attempt at a T-Rex. The T-Rexes actually are quite heroic in these movies. They always save the day. So maybe this guy's misunderstood. But I just can't, that doesn't look anything even like a dinosaur. It's just, the Indominus Rex, Danny, though. The Indominus Rex was hilarious, though, because that dinosaur literally laughed and, like, twirled its mustache. But yeah, that's what this is. It looks a lot like a xenomorph to me. Looks a lot like a xenomorph, I must say. So it's attacking everybody, and they're like, oh, quick, use the flares. All right. Now this, to me, is very alien-coded. Let me get the, look at that. That reminds me very much of Aliens, when they had the underground tunnels, which looks like the case here with the water, and, the little girl, Newt, went and hid in them, and then you had the xenomorph going after her. This looks a lot like that to me. Looks very alien. Very, very alien. To the point where if I were Fede Alvarez, I'd be like, what are you doing to me, man? I'm doing the Alien franchise, Gareth. Get your own goddamn thing. Okay. Next. Okay. There's the spitter. Everybody, of course, remembers the spitter that took on poor Wayne Knight when he was trying to get to the docks. So I'll be curious to see how they use that dinosaur there, but that's a nice callback, of course. That's right. Drink your own milkshake, Edwards. That's funny, Vitor. Then there's your T-Rex. Not getting a lot of attention. Poor T-Rex. Everybody loves the T-Rex. The T-Rex is like, what about me, man? What is this, a that's what the spitting robot is. Dilophosaurus. How do you guys remember all these names? They're so complex and, like, not made for consumers. I know the Triceratops and, like, the main ones, but some of these are crazy. Yeah, spitting robot, that's what I think. That's what he does. Although, who said Hawk Tua? That was pretty funny. I think maybe that we can rename it, although not after that crypto scandal. Their T-Rex is like, I'm in here too, man. What about me? All right, then here, look. So this clearly, to me, I think is a flashback. Very much a flashback, because you can see that thing still in the lab, and somebody got locked in there. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. But you know what's even more interesting to me? Look at that logo. Looks like InGen. Looks like an InGen logo. There's the InGen logo from the recent films. So you can see how that's the way Gen is written. Looks like InGen. The Weyland-Yutani of the Jurassic franchise. So yeah, so I think that, oh yeah, that is a lot like Gareth Edwards' Godzilla, Benji. That's a good catch. But yeah, so that poor guy, down to the suit, just like Godzilla, is stuck in there. And it's not looking good for him. You know, I mean, he's like, let me out. And it's like, sorry, buddy. Yeah, so, you know, it does look a little, it does have like the forearms of a gorilla. Do you think they spliced in other stuff? It's all the animals in the world together. And they're pissed. So yeah, I don't know. It's a monster. I don't know how I feel about it. I have conflicted feelings about putting in something that's clearly not a dinosaur into a dinosaur movie. That's right, Dead Pixels. Gareth Edwards loves monsters, and maybe he was more interested in just creating a monster than he was in dinosaurs. And I'd be like, you know why you're here, right? To tell a dinosaur story. Okay. Then everybody got excited about this in the trailer. I saw a lot of people being like, oh, so all the little dinosaurs. So, okay, there's some giant dinosaur. You can see its fin there, okay? But then this dinosaur, there's a pack of this other kind of dinosaur helping out. And a lot of people were like, we just learned that dinosaur was aquatic. Oh my God, and they've already done it. So I'm like, yeah, but they still haven't integrated feathers yet. And they're like, leave us alone. Nobody wants to see the feathers. I kind of want to see the feathers. So yeah, so these dinosaurs are all working together to help this guy, right? It's this dinosaur and his bitches. Okay, or his backup dancers. Oh, let's see. So there is Manuel Garcia Rulfo and his family. Maybe this is their boat. Who knows? But that's a nice shot. I mean, it really sucks for them. I mean, like, I'd be like, can you at least give me a weapon so we can defend ourselves? And then, here's Jonathan Bailey. Oh, by the way, there's Rupert Friend in the back. I think this is clearly the third act. Still alive! Woohoo! Hold on. It's bothering me that the trailer breakdown thing isn't in the right place. There we go. Okay. So, yeah. So he's still alive. He's still okay. That's right, honeymoon cruise. So Jonathan Bailey, you know, kudos to him. This is a difficult role. They're like, okay. And he has to know all the dinosaur names. And he's like constantly having to explain what they're about to do and how they act. And he has to do all of it. He just has to do all the exposition. So he's like, yeah, they're swarming together. They're going to attack us. And so here, oh, wait. Oh, I'm missing some shots. Hold on, let me get them. It didn't take all of them. I guess it can only handle so many. Ah, there's the problem. Okay. Good to know for next time. We only have a couple left. Okay, there they are. Here I am. Okay. So here's a nice shot of them swarming the boat. That's one of the only good dinosaur shots that we get in this trailer, which I think is weird because it's a movie about dinosaurs. And yet again, the focus is on the human characters. Then this is the best shot of Scarlett Johansson in the entire trailer. I think she looks the coolest. She really knows what she's doing with that gun. I think that is the best shot in the trailer. But you know what else is interesting about it? It clearly is a take on Brody with the gun in Jaws. That's the shot. Now that's, of course, at the very end. He also has a rifle. He's also balancing himself on the boat. So that's very interesting to me. And then the next shot here is look at this. Well, that brings in another classic Jaws shot with the boat. You know, when the boat, the shark jumps up onto the boat. That's almost the exact same shot. That's amazing to me. And again, I don't know if this fits with, I mean, some people really like dinosaurs in the water. I don't really care for them. I like dinosaurs on land. I like to see, even the flying dinosaurs are only okay. I like dinosaurs on land. I like dinosaurs running around, jumping over stuff. I like the foom, foom, foom. I like how the whole ground, you know, I like seeing them in human spaces. I like seeing them go through the kitchen and go through a theme park. You know, I don't want to spend a lot. I mean, I get worried the whole third act is going to be in the water. And I'm like, I'm not too into the dinosaurs in the water, to tell you the truth. But yeah, especially when you look at these shots, that is a clear reference to Jaws. So very interesting. And yeah, there we go. So let me bring up the other image. Where'd it go? Okay, there we go. And let me bring up the poster. And then we'll do a Q&A. But that's my thoughts on the trailer. Where's the Q&A? There we go. And then there's the poster. Ha-ha! Okay, let's make it a little smaller. Okay, Q&A time. So it is 3:54. You may ask me anything you'd like until 4:04. So Paul says, do you see another billion-dollar movie here? Not if they don't add more dinosaurs. I'm a little nervous about the lack of dinosaurs. I gotta tell you, all the July movies, Jurassic World Rebirth, Superman, and Fantastic Four, not only do I not see $1 billion for any of those films on their own, but of course I think they're all gonna eat into each other's business. Although some movies propel each other. You know, people are just like, let's go to the movies. Like with Barbenheimer, and I think at Thanksgiving that happened as well. So maybe that'll work, you know, like let's see. Nofik says, Grace, why does it feel like all 3 summer movie trailers are lacking that big blockbuster feel? Yeah, I would agree with that. Hold on, I got skipped ahead quite a bit. What's happening? Yes, they all feel a little off. Can't pinpoint it, but what do you think? Any box office predictions? I just think I think that, you know, I think maybe you have a lack of directors who are experienced in delivering said blockbuster. You know, think about who the directors of these movies are, which is interesting to me. James Gunn, you know, he's never delivered $1 billion picture. Not to say he doesn't deliver a popular picture. He's never been able to deliver $1 billion film. Matt Shakman comes largely from streaming. And then Gareth Edwards, his only $1 billion movie is Rogue One, and that's because Tony Gilroy fixed it for him. And Tony Gilroy ain't coming in to fix this movie. So that makes me a little nervous. Nacho says, July is also the battle of the leading ladies with Scarlett Johansson versus Rachel Brosnan versus Vanessa Kirby. Oh, I don't want the ladies to fight. I hope they all help each other. I would love to see them do well. I would like that. Danny asks if people are really more interested in more Jurassic Park movies. They do very well, but I do think Chris Pratt was a big part of the other movies doing well, and lots of dinosaurs. This doesn't have Chris Pratt. So far, this doesn't have a lot of dinosaurs. I mean, it's a little bit like what Jeff Goldblum says, where you do plan to have dinosaurs in your dinosaur tour, right? And I think when I looked at this trailer, especially when I mulled it over after my reaction, I would think a Universal executive would say to Gareth Edwards, well, you know, you are making a dinosaur movie. Do you have enough dinosaurs in the dinosaur movie? Vitor, you've never seen any Jurassic movies? Oh my God, you gotta watch Jurassic Park 1, and you gotta watch Jurassic World, and I like Jurassic World 2, you know, Fallen Kingdom. Alberto says, do you like the poster? I think it's not any different from the last ones. No, this is the standard Jurassic poster. The only difference is that they smack those names on it. They've never put names on a Jurassic Park poster before. Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. Although they did used to put Chris Pratt's face on them. Chris Pratt's face would go on the posters, but not here. He's not in this movie. Let's see. That's right, I don't care, Bear. There were some dinosaurs, for sure. And then Jose says, will Jonathan's popularity with Wicked coming up help this film? Well, I think he's very popular online, on social media, and I think that will help the film. You know, if people are talking about it, if people are posting memes and GIFs and jokes about how sexy Jonathan Bailey looks in the movie, maybe that'll make people want to go and see it. You know, I think it could help. Danny G says this seems very Monsters meets Godzilla. You know, that's an interesting and not great comparison. I would be nervous about that. Dan M, thanks for joining. That's right, CM, summer movie season, kids are out. They do love dinosaurs, but is this too adult? You know, does this not feel like a family film? That's something else you have to be worried about. Thanks, Jesus. That's very sweet of you. Kareem says, can we make box office predictions without seeing full trailers? No, you can't make, you can only hazard a guess, I think, obviously our thoughts and our guesses will adjust as we get more information. But I think obviously the trailers are important, but I also think, how is the audience feeling? Is there like something good happening with the PR campaign or something bad happening with the PR campaign? What is the Rotten Tomatoes score? These things all factor into a movie, how it's perceived. Dancing Dog 60 says, I dig that it is PG-13 like Jaws being PG, meaning that kids can go and get a thrill. Well, I guess if this is only PG-13, that's interesting. Garnet Fire says, Fantastic Four should have kicked off the summer and Thunderbolts should have been in the fall. I couldn't agree more. I think Fantastic Four would have been a great May film. I don't think it has the energy of a Comic-Con movie. Deadpool was so meta that I think it really leaned into Comic-Con quite well. But Fantastic Four is more of a family film. And I think families are already way into summer vacation at that point already. Score says, does Hollywood need to be decentralized to get its creative spark back? I think Hollywood has to be less afraid to get its creative spark back. I think Hollywood is very nervous about what's going on. I think that they're nervous about all the competition they suddenly have for your time. I think they're scared about streaming versus theaters. I think I think because of the loss of DVDs, I think they just haven't been able to balance out streaming and theatrical yet. I think everybody's worried about their jobs in every capacity and every level. It's very difficult in Hollywood right now. And so I think that's leading to a lot of safe decisions where nobody can really, even if it fails, you can say, well, how would I have ever guessed that it would have failed? I did everything I was supposed to. And I think that that's really what you're dealing with. N1, I'm enjoying Real Housewives of Beverly Hills very much. Thank you. Official Liam says they should have put a dragon in this movie. It would have been cool after all this time these scientists managed to make a mythological creature. At first that sounds stupid, but I actually think that's kind of interesting. If I was splicing together DNA, I guess maybe I would see if I could make a dragon at some point. That's the kind of creative spark that was just being discussed, Official Liam G. Fernando says, would a new potential trilogy depend on the success of this movie? Well, I wish they'd come up with something else besides Jurassic World. Because, it still just seems like the last trilogy. It was 3 Jurassic Park movies, then 3 Jurassic World movies, and some people said this should have been called like Jurassic Universe or Jurassic Earth or something. I think that, that I think kind of already messes up the pattern a little bit. Mark, 3 years to the day. I'm so glad you're a happy member. That makes me very happy. Asif says, there would definitely be more dinosaurs. There's literally just 2 herbivores in this whole trailer. Well, I'm sure there must hopefully be more dinosaurs. Thank you, Danny. That's right, Jesse. That's funny. A poster listing all the dinosaurs. That's a great idea. At least a cheat sheet. You could be like, oh, yes, that's the blah, blah, blah. And they're like, the names are so long. What are their nicknames? Like T-Rex. It's very easy to say. Dominique says we've gone backwards in the threat the dinosaurs pose. They were all over the world and now it's just back to an island. That's true. We never really did our Dinotopia. You know, apparently when I was rewatching Jurassic World Dominion, and I couldn't get through it, but I was trying to watch it to get ready for this. And they had all these dinosaurs in the snowy regions. And I was like, but dinosaurs are cold-blooded. How are they not all dead? Why is that dinosaur in the snow? That makes no sense whatsoever. I'm sure they were like, we changed a gene and now it can be in the snow. I mean, at this point, why don't they just talk? I mean, they basically talk to some degree. Like Blue could communicate. Let's see here. CM says, any franchises you'd like for Jonathan to join? Well, I think it would be very nice to have an LGBT actor, an openly LGBT actor in the X-Men, you know, obviously because of what they represent. I know some people have recommended him for Nightcrawler. Danny says, I think ScarJo, Danny G says, I think ScarJo will bring in the crowd. Well, she's never been able to really sell tickets before. I hope so. That's right, Nacho Flores. Thunderbolts in August would have been good because that's the Guardians of the Galaxy Suicide Squad date. That is the date that it should have had. Let's see. Caliban says, I wish Jonathan Bailey was Tim. That would have been great. The little boy, well, that actor actually works. He could be in the movie, technically. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how you would get away with that without actually using that actor, that child actor all grown up, because he's actually he's a working actor, I guess I would say. Maybe he is Tim. That's right, Danny. I wore this shirt intentionally for Jurassic. It's my lizard or snake skin shirt. But it could also be dino skin. Brandon says, with trailers mostly dropping before the Super Bowl, how many more trailers are you expecting to drop on Sunday? I think we'll get a couple. I think you're going to get How to Train Your Dragon. I think you're probably going to get Lilo and Stitch. I'm surprised they dropped so early, though. I mean, we'll see what that means for me, but I'm hopeful to still be able to cover some stuff. I hope that James Gunn comes to the rescue with a good Superman spot in the afternoon during the Puppy Bowl. That's pre-game, actually. You guys were right. It's not during halftime. The Puppy Bowl is in the middle of the afternoon. So I want to be able to cover that. Oh, Jonathan Bailey for Iceman is even better casting. I like that quite a bit. Oh, I'm over my time. All right, I must go. I had a lovely time talking to you about this trailer. Thank you for joining me. Be sure to subscribe, hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. Make sure you turn on accepting gifts. You can just Google how to do that. It's very easy to do. I think you have to push a button down below. Let me see if I can just tell you really quickly how to do it. Wait a second. There's a way to do it. Like there's a button. I'm not sure. Just Google how to do it, and that will help. So yes, I think, is it on the $ sign? I think there's I can't see it on my end, but maybe there's a thing there that says, turn on gifts. So anyway, I'll see you very soon. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a lovely rest of your day. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye.